Well, before we begin, I just want to say what a tremendous honor and privilege it is to be invited back to Green Chameleon. I know it's been several months since we last spoke, and that's largely because we've been incredibly busy. Not least because of this new initiative that we at Apparently KM have been pioneering over the last few months, which we truly believe will become a viable substitute for knowledge management in the traditional sense. And that's what we call here at Apparently KM, we call knowledge outsourcing. Knowledge outsourcing really is attractive to those organizations that find it difficult to think about doing traditional knowledge management. Either they can't be bothered to do it, or the challenges that they see in doing knowledge management are too great, or they simply don't have the resources or the bandwidth to address all of the complexities of normal knowledge management. And knowledge outsourcing becomes a very attractive proposition in those circumstances. Now, so what is knowledge outsourcing? Well, the kinds of organizations that would consider knowledge outsourcing are those that, generally speaking, have knowledge retention problems in respect to the knowledge assets that are embodied in their staff. So we're really talking about tacit knowledge here, experience, expertise, and operational knowledge of various kinds, which have not been documented because there haven't been a formal knowledge management program in the past. Now, these organizations can be of different types. The challenges that they're facing can be quite different. For example, it could be that they're facing problems from a soon-to-retire workforce, particularly if they're specialists or if they're very experienced members of staff who've been with the organization a long time and carry a lot of knowledge in their heads, and they haven't had a formal program to sort of capture that knowledge before they leave. It could be that they have problems with very high staff turnover, so they simply cannot keep people for long enough to acquire the knowledge that they need to do their jobs. And this can be for any number of reasons. It could be because of poor pay and conditions. It could be because they have poor leadership and management and a negative culture in the organization. It could be that they, generally speaking, have a very low caliber of staff compared to their competitors, and because they're simply not prepared to pay them enough. So if they do attract staff, they attract staff who are simply not desirable elsewhere. In all of these cases, the organization, does a very sober analysis of the options facing them, and quite often knowledge management simply looks too complicated and too difficult to do because it involves so many different aspects. And in these circumstances, knowledge outsourcing becomes a really, really attractive proposition. Because in knowledge outsourcing, what you're essentially doing is you're really sort of deciding that the knowledge assets that you need to do your business, you do not need to commit to them in any serious or long-term fashion. All you need to do is identify where you can get this knowledge in the market and engage it when and if you need it, and not otherwise. So it really is quite an attractive proposition as compared with the costs of an ongoing knowledge management program. Now, there are three main phases to a knowledge outsourcing initiative. The first, of course, is to identify the knowledge outsourcing opportunities for your organization, and we at Apparently KM have developed two major frameworks to approach this particular phase. The second phase is to decouple your human knowledge assets from your business, the ones that are superfluous, that you've decided that you want to outsource. Now, we call them human knowledge assets, HKAs for short, to distinguish them from other kinds of knowledge asset. And the third stage, of course, is to identify and engage your HKA or your knowledge outsource providers.